What's going on, guys? This is Chandler Smith, and one of the biggest complaints that I get is, Chandler, I can't get my offer accepted. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the step-by-step process that, if used, will help you get your offer accepted every single time, or at least most of the time. So with all of that being said, let's jump into it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, I've been investing in real estate for the last 8+ years. I currently own over 150 units of rental real estate, which totals, I don't know, somewhere north of $20 million of real estate. Now, through that process, I've had the opportunity to put in a lot of offers, and I've gotten a lot of offers accepted. I've also had a lot of offers that have not been accepted, but I feel like I've learned exactly what's required to make sure that we help you get your offer accepted. And so in this video, I'm gonna show you that step-by-step process of the things that you can do to drastically increase your odds of getting your offer accepted on almost any property. Now, these tactics work for single family, multifamily, commercial, residential, whatever it is. They might tweak slightly depending on what you're dealing with, and I'm gonna talk about that briefly. But overall, these things are going to help you to get your offer accepted. So if you're a first-time home buyer and you're looking for your dream home, this stuff is definitely gonna work. If you're looking into purchasing, 1 to 4 units, it's definitely gonna work. If you're getting into the bigger apartments, it gets a little more complicated, but this is still going to help you a ton when it comes to helping you get your offer accepted. And all that I ask you to do is remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell so you can catch my future videos. And with all of that being said, let's just jump into it. Step number 1, and this is before you ever put in an offer, and that is get pre-approved and get a pre-approval letter. Now, there's quite a process that you have to go through to get pre-approved, to figure out which bank you want to use, and on and on and on. So you need to go through that. You need to meet with multiple banks or credit unions. You need to figure out who you're comfortable with. They're probably going to have to pull your credit to give you the first pre-approval letter. They're gonna have to look at your bank statements, your debt to income ratio, a bunch of other stuff, so they feel comfortable giving you that pre-approval letter. But honestly, the pre-approval letter isn't a huge deal, and usually they last for a good 6 months. So if you're serious about buying, go in, figure out which bank or credit union you want to use, get pre-approved, and have that letter ready to roll. Now, you want a standard one that's ready where they can just say, hey, they've been pre-approved for this. But also, you want to build a relationship, because with me, I like to get a pre-approval letter that is specific to that property. And because I have a good relationship with my lender, I can call them, and within 10 minutes, I can get a pre-approval letter with that specific address on it. Now, this might not make a huge difference, but for some people it does. And that's why I like to build that relationship so they're ready to send me a current one. But I also like the backup so that if for some reason I can't get that right away, I can send the more standard one that just says this is the amount, and then I can still follow up with them and get one with an address on it. So that's the first step. Get pre-approved and make sure you've got that letter ready to roll. Now, fun little helpful hint for all of you super wealthy out there that have enough cash in the bank to pay cash for a property. First of all, you should not do that. But if you've got the money there, you're still planning on using a loan to buy the property, but you have enough cash in the bank that you could just buy it cash, send proof of funds. This is a little trick that I learned. Now, you don't have to say I'm gonna pay cash, but when someone says, oh, I wanna see your pre-approval letter, and you put in your offer and you send proof of funds to pay cash for the property, this usually gets sellers pretty hyped. Now, again, you don't have to buy cash, but if you send that, they're gonna be like, okay, he's definitely pre-approved. He's a very serious buyer because he just sent me a current bank statement that says he could buy this property in cash, and you're gonna jump to the top of the list. Now, you might not be in that situation. As a matter of fact, most people aren't, but when I've been in that situation and I can use this tactic, it is extremely helpful for making sure that my offer is at the top of the list. Step number 2, have an incredible realtor, or be one yourself. And what I mean by this is, if you are an incredible realtor, you're usually very connected with all of the other realtors in town, so that when they see your name, you've got this opportunity to communicate with them. Now, I've got a couple realtors that fall into this category, and because they've built themselves up, Even if they don't know the other realtor, they're gonna be able to build themselves up so that they can gain that relationship quickly, or they already have it and they can use it to their advantage. They can say, hey, Joe, it's me again. I was just calling. I've got an extremely motivated buyer here. They're ready to rock and roll. They love the property. Fill me in. What is it that your buyer wants to see in an offer so that we can put this together? Sounds like you've got an awesome seller. I've got an incredible buyer. We really want to put this together because this is a great property. What are they hoping to see, in the offer we send in? And that's one thing that they can say to kind of fill it out so they know what the seller's hot buttons are. Because a lot of times you might have a seller that, they want a lot of earnest money, or they want someone that can close quickly, or they are looking for someone that can buy in all cash or just can close as quick as possible. Whatever it is, you can have your realtor fill that out. Or if you are your own realtor, you can fill it out. You can build this relationship and say, look, what do we need to do to put this deal together with our people? Because I do have a very, very strong buyer, and there's someone where if the numbers work, we're gonna make it happen. Or if it is a single family home, you can say, look, this person, they love this home. What do we need to do to be able to put this together so that you can really be built up as a buyer? And I know this seems like lip work and maybe it's not important, but this is probably one of the most important things you can do, because if you've got that connection with the realtor, they're gonna go back and sell you to their seller. And that's what you really wanna do, because a lot of times you've got lots of competing offers, or you've got a situation like I'm in right now with a property where we have all put in the same offer. Now, that's what the realtor told me. What's nice about that is you could also have the opportunity to offer a little bit above, or you can put in an offer at the same amount, but build yourself up more because you can close more quickly, or you can put down more earnest money, or you can do whatever the seller wants you to do. One that I closed on a month ago, all that the seller wanted is a quick due diligence. And so when I said, look, I can do my due diligence in 5 days instead of the standard 15, that way you know right away if we're gonna go through with it or not. That hooked them. They said, okay, I wanna go with this guy. Even though I've had higher offers, he's willing to move quickly. He's a good buyer. He's got his pre-approval letter. He's ready to rock and roll. The more that you can have your realtor dig and figure out what the seller wants to see, where their bottom line is, and a lot of times you can't always figure that out by having your realtors communicate, but a lot of times you can. And so if it's an extremely competitive market, you can figure out exactly what they want to see. A lot of times I'll even have my realtor say, look, can you call your seller right now and say, hey, if we got this offer in right now with all of these terms, would they accept our offer over anyone else's, so that we can lock this up? Because if you can get the verbal approval from them that we do that, I will make sure that I get my guy to put in an offer with those terms, and so we can push this through. This is yet another way to be able to get it locked up quickly and to kind of avoid getting lost in the madness. Now, when this isn't possible, when you try to communicate, when you try to get that connection, but it's still up in the air and you have no idea where it's gonna come in, and you're in a market where things have been going at asking or above, here would be my advice to you. Make sure that you protect yourself with the contract, with your due diligence period, where you can bail out for any reason you want and get back all of your earnest money, and then go in with what you would consider a very aggressive offer. Maybe even an offer where you don't plan on going through with it if you can't get them down lower from that offer, because you're not completely satisfied with it, but you've got a due diligence period now to look at the numbers, to go walk through the property, to pick it apart, to make sure you're willing to pay that, or to know exactly where your bottom line is. Because at the end of the day, if your bottom line is here and the property's under contract here, you've got to hold to your bottom line. And when you go through the due diligence, you say, look, I'm sorry, I hadn't been through the property yet. This is another reason I don't walk the property until after I've put in an offer, because I like to go in with fresh eyes. I like to be able to see what issues it has. I like to be able to look at the numbers, and this more leans towards if it's a rental property, but then you can see the rents. You can pick apart the rents. You can pick apart the property. You can go and find whatever issues it might have, or say, hey, I didn't see this before, and I realize now this is only going to be able to rent for this, which now affects my bottom line. But at this point, you're locked in as the buyer because you've got it under contract. So don't be afraid to put in a higher offer than maybe you're comfortable with, especially because you don't have the information, as long as you use the contract to your advantage. Because here's the deal, the advantage is to the buyer with how the contract is written, because when you can have that due diligence period, you can bail for no reason at all, and that gives you the opportunity for you to get it under contract, for you to get the seller tied to you, for you to get the seller further down the road while being in contract, and then pick them apart and then say your bottom line. And if you accidentally overoffered on a number that you're not comfortable with, you say, look, I need this much back for me to be willing to go through it. Or you say double that back. If there's a long list of things that you need and you say, look, I need $50,000 back at close, but you only need $25,000 back at close to make it work, they then can respond, and usually they'll do half what you ask for if you have justified reasons in asking for it. And this is one of the things that has been a huge advantage to me, because I've had multiple properties I've been able to lock up because my offer was the biggest, but then I'm able to nitpick them down with issues they have with the property, and my agent is able to build me up. They're able to kind of tear the property down and some of the issues that it has and get us to a point where I still get it at the number that I want. And I got my offer accepted above anyone else's because I got my offer in very quickly. I got it in before anybody else could. I built that relationship with the agent, and usually my offer is a little higher than other people's offer is, and then I can nitpick them in the due diligence period. So these are my tips and tricks to make sure you get your offer accepted. The one thing I will say is a lot of people say, Chandler, that's messed up. You're taking advantage of the seller. Guys, this is the game. And if you know how to play it, you're gonna get your offers accepted. And I know a lot of people might complain about some of these things that I do, but I get my offers accepted and I get to buy properties at a number that works. And you need to understand that sellers get this. Me as a seller selling properties, I know that some people know how this works and other people don't. And honestly, that's something you sign up for as a seller. And as a seller, you should not go through with the whole process with a number that you're not happy with. But a lot of times you've got to do some back and forth, and you've got to be able to say, this is what the property is worth and this is why. And at that point you can hold to your number. And if they want to hold to theirs and it doesn't work, well, then they've only lost 10 to 15 days in due diligence. They can start the process over, and you've gotten to experience going through the process because you actually got your offer accepted. So I hope these tips and tricks help you to get your next offer accepted. Just make sure that your paperwork is written up properly so you don't lose any money on earnest money. And if you do that, use the contract to your advantage. That's what it's there for. You as the buyer do have some form of advantage here. So make sure you go out and use and abuse it. And if this helps you, if this is new to you, please let me know in the comments that you enjoyed it, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future videos. Thanks guys, have a great day.